Hello everyone and welcome to day 4 of our spring summit. And again, we're doing something brand new that we have not done on live video yet. And we're going to learn some embroidery, and that includes me because I'm a beginner at embroidery. And I'm so excited to learn this new, well, it's not new, this very old craft that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, if not thousands.
Yes, well, I mean, this is the perfect project to start with. All of these flowers that we're going to be doing today are perfect for beginners, and if you're just getting started on your embroidery journey, this is a great place to start.
I think it is because, and it's also very expressive where you can kind of randomly embroider as you wish on whatever clothing piece that you have. This is a little pocket here, and this is my, these are the overalls that I use in the garden, and you decided to help decorate them for me, which I love. So a couple things to remember. We do have an area for you to ask questions. Anna's over here and she'll call them out for you, and that's down in the questions section. Is that correct, Anna? Am I saying that right? Okay.
So we have a section for questions and a section for comments.
Comments, okay. And then we are doing a giveaway again today. So we're doing a $25 gift card to feltpaperscissors.com. And if you live out of the country, this is a perfect way to help pay for the shipping so you can get some of our goodies. And if you want to put your name in to enter, just type your name in and where you're from, and we'll put those in the randomizer and pick one at the end of this little class, and somebody's going to win one of those. So I'm excited. All right, what do you want to teach us?
All right, well, so these are the tools and materials that we're going to be using today. I have 4 colors of embroidery floss. I've got 2 lovely pinks, a kind of periwinkle purple, and a nice dusty green. This came in the kit. Of course, you can use whatever colors you want, but I love this color combination. I think it just looks really springy and beautiful.
And this is my favorite color. I wear sage green all the time.
Yes, same. And then I have my needle pack here. These are embroidery needles, so they have a bigger eye. We also have our needle threader,
which I need all the time.
Yes. We have some thread snips. I have 2 different kinds here, and some regular scissors and a little thimble. And this is my favorite thimble. It's the leather one, so it stays on my finger really well.
It's called a coin thimble because it has this little metal tip that you can press through.
And I usually end up putting it on my middle finger or my ring finger because that's where the back of my needle usually hits.
And this is handy if you're stitching on thicker fabrics and you need a little bit more force.
Yes, or long projects. I find that like my finger will get a little bit tired if I'm stitching for a long period of time.
This is very lightweight, so we probably don't need it today.
Don't
but
think I'll use it.
handy.
And then of course I have my absolute favorite embroidery material, which is this it's the water-soluble stabilizer. So this is really cool. I'm honestly completely obsessed with this product. And what it is it's this kind of meshy material with a sticker back. And you can just print directly on this or even draw directly on it. And then you end up with this, and you can cut it apart and paste it on whatever you want to embroider. And it just rinses right away with warm water. And I adore this product.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to set up your pattern before you start stitching.
Yes, so I have already printed the pattern right here, and we have, you can see our selection of flowers that we're going to do. I have a larger size and then a smaller size. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this apart. And I'll give you half.
Okay.
You can kind of decide which flowers you want to do. This one is a little misleading, this little round one. So what that one looks like when it's done is like this guy here, which is...
It was a little daisy.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little round flower. But yes, so we will start by cutting this part. Here you go.
Okay, and I get the little ones here?
We'll mix and match.
Okay.
Let's just cut maybe one of each.
And I'm guessing these chicken feet don't look like chicken feet.
They don't. They look like these little blooms here. You can see, I don't know, these little guys. Even though, yes, they do look like chicken feet. And the thing I really like about this method here is that we're going to go over some really basic embroidery techniques that you can use, and you can, once you've kind of learned them, you can do it wherever you want. So while I have these little leaves on my pattern, when I went in, I actually just kind of added them wherever I wanted once you've learned the technique.
So you don't have to use these stickers.
No, you don't have to use the stickers. I like them for the larger size flowers just so I can see where I want them to be, but then for the leaves and everything like filler, you can kind of just go back in and add those wherever you want.
I also think this is great for a beginner because then you can not worry about where you're stitching. You already have it sort of pre-planned. Okay.
Yes, and I would like one small flower, please.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have my little pieces cut out. Here we go. I do notice that with this material, you want to leave a little bit of room around them and not cut too close because they will need to stick to the material. So if you cut too close, sometimes they have a harder time sticking to the material once you're sewing.
Okay.
But yes, let's get started. I kind of wanted to do this back pocket today.
Okay, I like that.
And if you want, you can either do something on the cuff, or I thought it might be really cute to do this little
strap.
The
okay,
strap.
I'll do it on this side. How's that?
That sounds good. So I'm going to show you how to do each one of the flowers that comes with the pattern, and they're all pretty simple. We'll start with the simplest. And which ones do you want?
I'm just going to cut some more over here, and yeah, I'll work along with you.
So you can see it's really easy. It just pops right off, and then you have this little guy. Let's do this big one here. And then I'm going to just overlap them. You can really just kind of put them wherever you want.
That's what I was wondering, if it's something you would overlap.
Yeah. So you can see I've just overlapped them. I'm not going to put too many on at once because, again, I don't want to have them popping off while I'm stitching. So we'll start with these two here, and then maybe let's do one of these little leaf sprouts.
Once you've stitched, can you just peel them off at that point, or?
You can. I don't like to do that because there is like a tearaway stabilizer that you can get that pulls off really easily, but this is meant to rinse away.
Okay.
So it's much easier just to take it and put it in some warm water, and this literally will just melt away. And I use this on almost all of my embroidery projects as a perfectionist. I like to have my plan. I don't want to go in super unprepared.
It's a total personality thing, right? Because some people might prefer more random. So
yes. Okay. So I want to start with this little double leaf here, and on the pattern it looks like this one.
A little double leaf with a stem. Okay. I'm gonna get one of those on here.
Yes. I'm gonna just double check what it looked like on this side. And I'm gonna use my green thread. I think I'll just start with 3 threads. Again, you can kind of do whatever size you like. If you do all 6 threads, it's going to be a little bit puffier. If you do less, it'll be a little bit of a finer detail. I tend to love a good 3-strand embroidery stitch. I think it looks really nice.
All right, I'll take the other 3. So you split those apart. There's 6 threads on each.
Yes, on each strand of this embroidery floss, there's going to be 6 individual strands. I don't know if you can see that here. So I'll just separate 3 and then give it a nice little tug to pull it apart. And we went over this last time, but for those of you who missed it, if you are working with this kind of embroidery floss and you want to pull out some thread, always pull from the side with the larger label to keep it from getting tied. So you can see it just smoothly comes out, and then you can cut it and continue pulling from that side to avoid any tangling.
That's a really great tip. There's nothing worse than tangled embroidery thread.
Yes, and then for the 3 strands, I'm just going to use one of these medium-sized needles. I don't want to go too small, but I definitely don't need a large needle for 3 strands. So we'll grab one of the middle ones.
And you can use the little needle threader if you need to. I love this particular one, especially for embroidery, because it's wider versus the little tiny wires. So when you're knotting your embroidery, do you knot it down pretty tight, right? Because you're not going to be able to hide it like we do with stuffies?
Yes. So what you can do is don't worry too much if there's a little tail on one end.
Okay.
Because we can always trim it down. So I'm just going to tie a little knot
Are you doing just one knot?
Just one knot.
Okay.
With 3 threads, one knot seems to work pretty well. If you're working with less, like 2 or 1, sometimes that can pop through. And then I'll do 2 knots. And then on the other side, I have my loose tail, and then the floss that I'll be working with. So, all right, let's start on this little leafy guy. And I'm just going to start with the stem.
And since we're stitching on clothes, and this is a fairly loose embroidery, so we don't need a hoop.
Yes.
In this case.
Yes. Well, you can work with the hoop if you'd like. Working this small, you can kind of just hold the fabric, like get that tension that you need, and it should be fine.
Yeah,
so
I think a hoop would be hard on the strap, so.
Yeah, so for the stem, I'm just doing a straight stitch, so from one right up to the other.
I need another knot. It popped through.
Yeah, I know, I'm working on a double layer here because I'm on the seam. Okay. And please feel free to shout out any questions while we're working if you have anything to ask.
Move over so you can be right in the center of the camera there.
All right.
There we go.
So I've stitched my single straight stitch right there to do the bottom of this little sprout here. And next up I'm going to do what is called a lazy daisy stitch, and this is one that we're going to be using for several of these little templates. This is a really great basic way to get kind of a leaf shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out. I want to avoid coming out directly in the same hole that I went in from, otherwise the thread will come out. So I'm going to come out slightly to the side, pull it out. I'm going to pull my thread to the side to make a little loop and put it back in almost the exact same hole that we just came out of.
So what happens if you put it in the same hole?
So if I were to pull this all the way through, the thread would just pop out.
Okay.
So I'm keeping my loop here. I'm not pulling it all the way down. And what I'm going to do to make this little lazy daisy stitch is I'm going to bring my needle up right in the middle of that loop. So you can see I'm bringing my needle up, and then I have the loop. And then I'm going to pull it tight, and it will pinch on that thread that I pulled through. See that? I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of small.
Can you hold it up higher, I guess? Let's see.
Whoop.
Whoop.
So you can see there's this little loop, and then my thread that just came through, it's holding it over this direction so it doesn't pull through and fall out. And now once I've got that to the tension that I want, you can either pull it really tight and it will get a little straighter, or you can leave it a little looser to have that round shape. I'm going to put my needle back in just directly on the other side of that piece of thread so it pins it down. We're looping right over the top of that top of the loop. So you can see, oh, the green is a little difficult to see, isn't it? Don't worry, we'll do more of these stitches. So.
Yeah, this is good. This is such a great craft for the young crafters. And like I was saying when we were working on the felt stuffies, is embroidery is something you can take with you anywhere. You can put it in a little bag and take it. You can, when you're riding on the plane or sitting waiting for something, you can be working on your embroidery.
Yes, I love embroidery. It's a great social craft. Uh-oh, I've got it not already. All right. Yeah, it's a great social craft. When I first started embroidering, I was bringing it around with me all the time, and I'd take it to parties and people would be like, "What are you doing?"
Can start a new party game.
I'm hiding in the corner with my embroidery.
That's so social. All right, I've done the other leaf. Is that what we wanted to do?
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. And so yeah, you just pull that leaf in place. This one got a little straighter because I was busy talking, but that's okay. If it's a little uneven, that's kind of just replicating nature. And then once that stitch is done, I'm just going to go ahead and tie this off on the back side. So I'm creating a little loop. I'm putting my needle right against the knot, tilting it to an angle, and then pulling it tight, and that angle will make the knot slide right down. And you have a slightly different method of tying a knot.
Well, actually, I like your method for embroidery because it gets it really nice and tight.
Yeah.
Into the fabric.
All right, I want to show that same technique but with a different color. So I'm going to use this little guy. This is the little loopy flower here. And this is going to be all that same, what's called the lazy daisy stitch, or a single chain stitch also is another name for it.
Next time you do your knot, show that close up, because I forgot how to do it and it's really, really clever.
Yes, of course. Okay, I'm gonna put this one over here. Maybe I should do, yeah, this is the big
There we
size.
go. I figured it out.
Sorry, I'm stealing more of
No,
your
you're good.
fabric.
Take
All
it
right,
away.
I'm gonna do this in this blue color this time. Periwinkle, my favorite color. And I think maybe we'll leave this one a little fluffier. So I'll do all 6 strands for this guy. Switch to a slightly larger needle. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm excited because I love embroidery like this. I think it's so fun. It's a great thing to learn if you want to just kind of customize clothes. And once you've got the hang of it, you can really do it on anything.
You can make artwork, you can add it to decorate clothes. There's just, yeah, there's so many things.
All right, so I'm going to show you that same stitch again, the lazy daisy or the single chain stitch. And we're going to do this a few times on this one here. So as you can see on this little template, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little loopies. And I want them to be facing with a round side on the outside. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Bring my needle up on the side, bring it back down in the same hole. We don't want to catch our knot like I just did. Sometimes if you go in, you see, okay, your knot. So that's why maybe sometimes slightly to the side is better.
And when you tangle, show how you untangle. There are methods.
Yes, if I get a knot, I will definitely show you. So you can see I'm holding my little loopy, and then I'm going to bring my needle up. Right, oops, let's not get this fabric folded. Bring my needle up at the point that I want it to come to. Pull, oh, yep, pull it to the tension that I want, unless you get it tangled like I'm doing. What's happening? Embroidery floss, man.
Well, it's already twisted, so it twists around itself kind of easily. You have to really kind of watch it.
All right, well, okay, here, let's talk about this. If this ever happens to you and you're having too much tension and it's being a little bit annoying, it's really easy to just cut that knot off and
Start over?
always restart. Never be afraid to restart with embroidery. You know, it's always better to get it right than to sit there and struggle with it.
Yeah.
Embroidery is pretty easy to adjust. Okay, I got that little knot out. So I've got my loop. I'm going to pull this to the tension that I want. You can see my little dashes here. And then I'm going to pin it down by coming right on the other side of that thread.
I love the fluffiness of all 6 threads.
Yes, it's nice and fluffy. All right, I'm going to do the center one next just so that I can
Spread it out a little, huh?
get the sizing where I want it to be.
Yeah, that
since
makes
this one's
sense.
a little fluffier.
And there's 5, so that's perfect. Do the 3.
Come down. Embroidery is one of those things that's not super exciting to watch, so I hope you guys don't mind coming along with us while we do this. And there we go. There's our second one. And you can make a whole flower with this stitch if you wanted to go all the way around. That's why it's called a lazy daisy, because people often use this to make little daisies.
But why is it lazy? That's what I want to know.
Why is it lazy? That's a good question. The stitch name has been around for longer than I've been doing embroidery.
That's true.
All right. One more time. Come back down. I think I'll just do 3 petals on this one. It's another great example of how you can really customize these to be exactly what you want. This is just kind of a way to get you started. And your needle is a really great tool to make sure all those threads are nice and even.
It's so pretty.
So we have 3 little petals. And if I wanted to, I could go in and add those center ones, but I think I'm going to leave it for now just so I can show you how to do the rest of these little flowers. So I'll tie this off, and here I'm going to show you one more time. So I've made a little knot loop here, and before pulling it tight, I'm going to go right in the middle of that circle, put my needle directly on the last stitch that I made. So I have my needle touching the last stitch that I made, if you can see that.
So it's touching where the thread's coming out of the fabric.
Yes, and then I'm going to turn it to an angle and pull it so the knot just slides right down and sits right against the fabric.
Yeah, that really helps you get that knot tight so it's not hanging out.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a really clever knot.
And especially if you're working on fabric or something that's going to get washed, I find the knot method really it helps it stay.
So what do you do with the center of that flower?
So for the center, we're going to do what is called a satin stitch. And this is one that we're going to also use for the larger daisy-like flower over here, or the apple blossom, I don't know, whatever it is. So we'll pick our color, whatever color we want. What do you think? Maybe this light pink?
I'm gonna steal some of that thread though.
Yes, here you go.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna do the light pink, and I guess we'll just stick with all 6, might as well.
So Kelly is wondering if you have any tips for embroidering a bookmark. I know you did a very pretty snowdrop bookmark last spring.
Yes, I love that project. I use that bookmark. If you have any tips for embroidering a bookmark, let me think. I mean,
felt.
Felt is great. I like felt because you don't have to worry about the edges of the fabric fraying or anything. It's nice. As is.
And you can also use a pinking shear or something to cut a decorative edge, or even cut it out on your cutting machine.
The thing to think about if you're embroidering something, anything really, is that there's going to always be a back. There's always going to be a not so pretty back to the project. So you want to think about a backing. If it's something that's freestanding, what would you put on the back? You could do 2 layers of felt with some heat press, was that stuff called? The something like that.
The fusible web.
Fusible web, thank you. I always forget the name of that stuff. To have a nice clean back, or you could put another material on the back. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. And I would say, I mean, this is just my guess. I would say if you're making a bookmark, maybe stick with less threads. Like don't do a 6.
Yes, I would probably do thinner.
Yeah, do a 1 or 2 or even 3 threads on your needle rather than 6, so that your knots aren't so bulky. And then when you add the backer, it won't be quite so bulky.
And you can check out the snowdrop bookmark that I made last spring. I did a backing on it, and I had a really nice little stem stitch frame kind of thing going on, which I still really like. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this. This is called a satin stitch. It's the most commonly used fill stitch, and we'll be going over all of these stitches in my upcoming Embroidery 101 class, but this is just a little taster. So I've brought my thread out on the far side of my shape, and I'm kind of coming here in the middle, so it's not at the widest point, but I'm down here at the bottom. I'm coming out, and now I'm going to bring the needle back down to make a straight line to fill that bottom edge.
And I would say doing a satin stitch, this is a great place to have this little template because it keeps you coloring within the lines.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, without having to think about it too much.
Yes, that's why I love the templates. All right, and now I'm going to do that exact same thing. I'm going to go back over to the side that I started on, and I'm just going slightly above now so that I'm getting my next line of fill. And I'll bring it back over, slightly above. And now I'm just going to do one more. This time I'm going to bring it in a little bit so we get that kind of round shape. Bring it back down. And there we have our cute little top, pink and purple.
Yep. And this stitch is something you would use to fill any space that you need to fill in a flat color.
It's the most common fill stitch for a reason, and people use this for full projects sometimes. It definitely takes time. It's not a very fast stitch. That's why I like using it in smaller bursts like this, you know, 3 stitches gives that little fill. Versus people will do whole embroidery hoops
Right.
of just
That's how it's like a whole scenery or something.
yeah.
I've seen.
And it's also what is used in machine embroidery.
Okay.
Alrighty, so there's one flower done, and I like this little 3 petal guy. I think it's really cute.
It is cute.
All right, we could go over and do the satin stitch on this guy, but I kind of want to show you the round one first. I'm going to switch to my smaller size needle, and I'm going to use 3 threads for this one. What color should we do? I guess we'll do this dark pink. And I'm going to use I'm actually going to use the light pink that I just used for the center of this one. And you can either start with the center first, or you can do the center at the end. For this one, depending on your preference, you can try both ways, see what you like. This is why I need the needle threader.
Here you
I
go.
have like this weird
Needle threader.
I just never use it. I'm just like, no, I can do this by myself.
And I just use the needle threader.
All right, so I'm tying my end really quickly. I'm gonna just do the center of our little circle flower. And for this, I'm gonna do a French knot, which is another really wonderful basic stitch. So what I'm gonna do is come out right in the center of our circle. And we're doing, just to repeat, we're doing this shape right here, right now. Okay, so I'm coming up right in the center of our circle. And to make a French knot, what I'm going to do next is take my needle and my thread here. I'm going to wrap it around once. I'm going to do it one more time, wrap it around twice. The amount you wrap it will change the size of the knot.
Can you do a French knot with 3?
You can do a French knot with as many as you want. It will just get
Be
really
really
big. I think 3 is about max what I would do. All right, now I've got that there, and I'm going to, oops, here, we'll do it one more time.
Yeah, it
One.
gets slippery, huh?
This piece is a little short, but now I'm going to bring my needle back down directly beside where I brought my needle up. And while I do this, I'm going to make sure the tension of this thread is pretty tight and pull the needle through the knot, which can be tricky.
Not so tight that you can't pull it
Yeah,
through the
don't
knot.
pull it that tight, but if you don't
Yeah.
keep this tight, it will end up with a little bit of bagginess, and we don't want that. So keep it there, and then
Oh, that's beautiful.
now we have this cute little, this is called the French knot.
Very cute.
All right, we'll tie that off. Are you having fun over there?
Yeah, I don't want to reach over and grab thread, so I'm kind of just watching you right now.
So we do have a question from Molly. Emily, what other clothing pieces have you embroidered? I did put in the link for my denim jeans with the sashiko patch.
I love that sashiko. What have I done? Well, I've done a bunch of patches for myself, personal designs that I've put on hats. I've given to friends to put on their hats.
Your fanny pack.
My most prized possession is I have this fanny pack purse that I wear all the time. It's tiny, and I embroidered it. I did a big sashiko section on it. That's the X's, and oh my gosh, it took so long. I was just carrying it around with me, the purse with all the stuff in the purse, and then I did this.
Do you want some help with that?
Yes. See, this is what happens sometimes.
Okay, never mind that one.
one.
So I have my method and you have your method.
That's fine. I'm just talking.
Okay, you talk and I'll do that.
Okay. Yes.
You did the little mushroom bag, the little tote bag.
Oh yes. Oh, I did the tote bag with the mushrooms and the it was like an enchanted garden kind of a theme, which I use to carry my makeup in when I'm traveling now. And yes, on my fanny pack I did this big moth design on it, and I used this. I use it religiously. Like I said, I'm truly obsessed with it.
You also have that little, these aren't really clothing items, but there's that tote bag with the...
Hold on, before you put on your needle.
Okay.
I just wanted to show one more thing. It's kind of fun. This is just like a little fun bonus.
Okay.
So I'm going to get the same length in this lighter pink thread, about the same length. And trim that, and I'm going to pull this into, let's just take maybe 2 strands. Let's see if I get
So
this.
it drives me crazy when she does it that way. I just use my teeth.
It works about half the time I found this method. Haha. So you've got it.
But then is this wasted?
No,
or is it
you can
tangled?
straighten it right out.
Okay, all right.
Should be able to straighten that out. So we're just gonna set that aside. But oh, here, you want some?
Sure.
So I've got 2 threads of the lighter pink and 3 threads of this darker pink, and I'm actually just gonna combine them into one strand here. And now we have some fun color variation for this next little round flower. Just showing you that you can really play with embroidery. Don't be afraid to experiment. There are so many things that you can do. And I love a little color variation. Alrighty.
Yeah, there's really, I mean, you can put embroidery on jackets, you know, on shoulders or cuffs or pretty much anything. You can add little embroiders around your collar.
Yes.
If you have a collared shirt.
I have my favorite denim jacket that I'm just waiting to embroider. I need to come up with a design that I like.
I know Megan's, was it her mom? Oh, or was it Val's? She got a bunch of embroidered bibs.
Ooh.
I think that was Megan. Yeah.
Cute.
That was really cute. Can I have the needle threader?
Yes.
This is 5, so it's too hard for me. Okay, so what are you doing there?
So I was just trimming the knot on the back a little bit tighter just so it doesn't get in my way as I'm working on this circle. So I've got my knot on the one end, and I'm going to just start making straight stitches coming out from my French knots. So we'll want to kind of be careful not to stick the needle through the knot again, but we'll come out right beside it. And then I'm just going to go to the edge of the circle from the center, and we're going to go around in kind of a clockwise formation. Sometimes I like to do the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 crisscross so that we know what direction to pull our thread in. You can experiment.
So when you're doing these, you always start on the outside and go in, outside, in, outside, in.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can go whatever way you want to go.
Okay.
With this specific stitch, because it's going to all be hidden underneath. So this is just a straight stitch. This is nothing too complicated. And my French knot is slightly leaning to that side, but I'm just gonna let that happen, and this side will just be a little shorter, this side will be a little longer, so it'll be like the flowers at an angle.
I like that.
So yes, I'm going to do the 4 directions first.
And you could avoid that by doing the French knot last if you wanted to.
Yes.
Or just don't worry about it. It is what it is.
Yes, you can definitely do the French knot at the end if you prefer. Try it out. Try both methods. See what you like better.
This is very soothing.
It's so soothing. All right, so now I've got the 4. Can you see this? I've got the 4, so I've got a little X in the middle of my circle. Now I'm going to kind of just start filling in between with these same stitches, same directions.
The other thing that I noticed you did on these little overall pants, they had a funky pocket that didn't get sewn correctly at the factory, and you patched it up with these.
Yeah, where was it? It was on this side.
That side?
Right here.
Yeah, so she just patched it up with some embroidery, and that's another great use of embroidery is to kind of fix.
And so I just did the little blue and green satin stitch, and I only did a little bit because the satin stitch takes so long, but I would like to do this whole row just in this blue and green. I think it would look really cute. All right, we'll continue on.
So it definitely has a utilitarian purpose as well.
Absolutely. I mean, embroidery originally started because people were reinforcing fabrics.
And repairing their clothing. Which we should do more of, right?
Absolutely. Repair instead of throwing things away. And it's a great way to upcycle. Like we did with Anna's jeans, we did that sashiko in the big hole, and we just patched right over it, and it looks so good. Let me know if you have any more questions, or if you are excited, as I am, for the embroidery class coming out next week.
Yeah, I'll talk about that while you're stitching, while you're finishing. This is, since it's just one stitch. All right, Emily has her embroidery class that starts next week, and it's all done and ready and pre-filmed. It's not a live because it's harder to do these live. And this is the stitch sampler, which we are selling. We're actually almost out. We did another order. We placed another order. We only have a few left in the shop right now, so grab them. It comes like this. It's all pre-printed, so you don't have to use this Sulky. But we also have the template that will be right there along with the class, so you can print it if you want to on the Sulky and then just put it on your own fabric. So the kit comes with the embroidery thread and the needles and the fabric and then the 7-inch hoop. So that's what this little bundle comes with.
Yeah, and we go over all 20 stitches, and then I also show you how to finish, which I love how this looks on the back. So I'm just gonna flip it over.
Yeah, here's a really nice way to finish. So all of this is done in the class. I'm actually doing this class. I'm going to work along with everybody. So I want to learn all these stitches myself so I can be confident. And then the other thing I wanted to show you guys, I'm going to show you the whole thing while you're stitching. So this is, we have a little grand prize, and in order to enter, you go ahead and finish your sampler, and again, you can use our kit or you can do your own version of it using the same stitches though. You know, we want you to finish this particular pattern, but if you take a picture of that and put it up in our community, we're going to do a grand prize, and you get this little customized bag that I made. I put the little detail. Oh, this is one of my favorite totes too. You could go in and stitch some flowers around there. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
And then inside we have this little case to organize your embroidery threads. This is a DMC case, and inside of that we have the clover thimble, the needle threader, our favorite Kai scissors, little snips. We have some needles, and then there's more. We have a whole bunch of these little bobbins for your threads.
Those come in so handy.
They do, and then then you don't have to have this tangling. It's all on the bobbin. And then the numbers.
Eventually this just falls apart and
you
have to switch it over to a bobbin.
You do. And then there's also 3, which looks like one fell out. There's 3 hoops to get you started. So everything you need to get started, and this will be our grand prize. And we'll be giving this away on May 15th. So you have until May 15th to finish up your sampler, which I think you could probably do it in a few days. The sampler, what do you think?
Definitely. I think we did ours in 3 days, and that was going pretty slow when I filmed this.
Because you're filming, which you need to take some time. So that should give everybody enough time to get those done and get your entry in.
Yes. Well, I finished this little flower here.
Oh, that is so cute.
And you can see the multiple colors. I think it looks really nice.
I don't know if it's too late. Elaine was wondering if you can show the final tie off not one more time.
Absolutely. I do it multiple times, so I'll show you that on this next guy here. I wanted to just show you what we were calling the chicken feet. I'll show you this one, and then I'm going to show you how to make the leaves, and then we'll go ahead and do this longer one. This one's going to take a little extra time since it's
we have about 20 minutes.
Satin stitch. Great. We're doing great. All right, so I've put my chicken feet down here, right underneath the little purple flower that I made. And for this, I'm going to be using green for the bottom, and I'm going to be using pink for the top. And I kind of found, at least for me, once I did this one, and then the leaves and this little flower that I did, once I've done those once or twice with the template, I was very comfortable just doing those freehand. All right.
Something I want to mention too, the skill course, we are doing the launch party, but you will be able to access that at any time once it all goes live on Monday.
You guys are watching me struggle with this.
And you can watch it over and over. Would you like
fine. I'll do the needle threader. The needle threader does make it quite a bit easier.
Yeah, and I think it's this course is really fun. You could share it with your daughter or your grandchild or your
anybody who
son
wants to
or
learn
anyone who wants to learn how to embroider. So it's definitely a shareable course. If you're a member, you have access to it. So
okay. So for the little chicken feet, the top of the feet here, I'll show you on the template. The top here, those are going to be like little flower buds coming up. So this is, again, this is all straight stitch. So this is the same stitch over and over, but the bottom is going to be the stem. So we'll do the bottom first, do our little line.
What is this, a flower or is it a?
Yeah, it's a little bud.
A little bud, okay.
And from there, I'm going to do another little teeny straight stitch coming off of that, and this is kind of supposed to be like the leaves coming down from the bud. So going right back in. So it's making almost like a little arrow, a miniature arrow, pointing up towards where the flowers will be, the little flower bud.
Oh, I see. It does have a little cross there on the design, doesn't it?
And I'm just jumping straight over to the next flower. I'm not cutting my thread or anything. I'm just jumping right over to do the same stem, and then we'll switch threads. And the reason that I like to do the pockets is because it hides the back. It doesn't have, the back's not going to be on your skin. The little knots can kind of irritate your skin if you have it in places where it will rub you. In the past, when I've done, I did an embroidery commission at one point, and I embroidered somebody's sleeve, this like whole sleeve embroidery, and what I ended up doing was using the gosh, again, I forget what it's called.
It's a heat transfer, yeah, fusible heat transfer.
The fusible web. So I used the fusible web and just fused a piece of fabric along the backside to protect the skin and to keep the knots from coming out. Okay, we're gonna do that closing stitch one more time. So here we are. I've got, it's loose here. I'm going to make a knot, just a regular knot. I've got the loop, and then I will stick my needle in the middle of the loop, place the point of the needle on the point where I just came out, pull the knot tight, and I have my needle at an angle so that knot will just slide right down, and then I pull it tight. And sometimes it doesn't work like it just did, so you can see it's a little bit further away. Just repeat that process one more time. It's easy as you think.
Yeah, so if it's not tight enough, just do it again.
Just do it again.
You don't even have to take it out.
No, and we can just cut the extra knot off. But I honestly find a lot of the time they'll kind of layer, and then you just have extra security, and you can see my needle's stuck in there. Beep.
Okay, so I have to show my flower here. This is a pretty...
This is so perfect.
No, it's not. It's so jaggy. It's so uneven, but it's actually kind of cute because
great.
It looks real.
Yes.
Look how some of them are longer than others. But I'm happy with it.
I think it looks great. And that's the thing with this specific design. These patterns are, they can be imperfect. They don't need to be perfect. That's part of the appeal. All right, so now I'm going to do the little buds on the top. Let's do 3 threads. In the embroidery class, we go over all the differences between how many threads and the difference in how it looks. And I think it's really cool to see exactly the differences.
Which flower are you working on, the little buds?
I'm just gonna do the top of the chicken feet, because now I can't stop thinking of them as chicken feet.
I know, that was kind of random, huh? Needle thread,
no.
Anyone? Okay.
See, did it. Okay. All right, so for this, we're just going to do the same straight stitch coming up at the top of one side.
So you're starting at the top, going down.
And I'm gonna bring it down right where our little arrow comes to a point, our little green arrow. And then I'm gonna do the next one, and we'll just do that for all 3 of the little.
And here they are.
Right there. You can see these ones. I actually did these ones freehand, so I kind of wanted them in different places. And I have them a little smaller than I do on the template. But again, this is
so cute.
Just a great way to get you started.
This is one thing I really love about this combination of flowers too, is that there's some small ones and some big ones, and it's really great to mix and match. They just go, they play well together.
And if I wanted, I could just do 2 petals, or I could just do 1 petal. I think on the pockets, I did that. I did these little tiny ones here, and I did 1, 3, and 2.
So teeny
little buds. And there we have our little chicken feet. Or our little
They don't look like chicken feet anymore.
No. Once you get the color variation in there, I think it really makes a difference. So we'll tie a knot. And all right, now we'll move over to this big satin guy. I do want to say one more thing really quickly. For the leaves, I have these 2 little ones that I put in the template. All I did for these was the Lazy Daisy stitch. I just did them without anything else around them. And that was a great way to fill in space here. You can see I just kind of put them in any little gaps. Here I have 3, and those are just little single chain stitches.
And you can do those without a template. You could probably just eyeball them.
Yeah, put them wherever they're, I would say like rinse this, let it dry with your flowers on it, and then you can go back and fill in any gaps with just some leaves.
That's a great idea.
All right, what color do you think we should do this one in?
Do it in the light pink.
Light pink. And what about the center? Green?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here you did light pink, dark pink.
Yeah,
opposite.
I flipped those. So I've got a fairly long piece of thread for this one. Here you go.
Thank you. And how many threads are you doing?
I'm going to do all 6. Since this is a satin stitch, we're doing full satin stitch for this little daisy flower here. I want it to go a little bit faster, and the more threads you have for filling, the faster it will go, if that makes sense.
That does.
It's just working with a thicker line. So what do you think? Do you think you would feel comfortable trying this out?
I'll tell you what, if you don't, take the class and then you will.
Yes, you will.
So Amy is wondering if you have any tips on creating an embroidery letter for a monogram. How would you lay out the flowers in the letter?
Oh,
that would look really great, yeah. If you want to, you could print the letter on this stick and stitch. I would pick something that you think that would look nice. You could do a satin stitch fill, or a lot of the time what's used for lettering is stem stitch, which I teach in the class, or we have some guides on it because it's a very commonly used stitch. You'll definitely want a bigger piece of thread than that.
Oh, well,
Longer.
too bad.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
just
fine.
going to use what I have, and then we'll
All
go
right.
back and fill it. But what I'm wondering, are you, I'll ask, are you wanting a letter that's filled with flowers, or are you wanting a filled letter and then put flowers around it?
Or even just a stem stitch, like outline of a letter with flowers
An
around
outline
it.
of a letter with flowers inside.
I think either way, you could really print the letter or draw the letter on the template, and then you can place the flowers around it however you'd like.
Or inside, either way.
I did share the felt monogram ornaments that Krista made.
Oh, yeah.
Those might
Those
help.
are cute.
All right, so I'm going to show how to do this daisy. This is a big one, so we're
Okay.
going to take a little bit of time with this. It's a repetitive stitch, but it's fun. So I'm going to start on one of the petals, and for this I'm going to start in the center. I'm starting in the center line, so you can see there's that little divot here in the middle of the flower where that petal comes down. So I'm going to go here. Let me see. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to make my first line like this, going straight
Move it over.
through that first petal. So we're going to go bam. And I find it's nice to start in the middle for a satin stitch.
One thing that I am noticing is this material, it does rub off a little bit when you touch it. So try to keep your fingers off when.
Are
off
you
the
talking
print.
about
Yeah.
the? Oh,
So
I haven't
then-
really noticed that.
So you kind of lose your print. So I'm trying to keep my fingers away from the print.
Yes.
Just kind of a tip. But you can always draw it back on. You can grab a pencil and kind of sketch it back on if you need to.
All right. So I've got my first line, and now I'm just going to go to one side and continue the satin fill. This is not the most exciting one, but it's going to look really beautiful when we're done.
And with the thicker threads, you don't need as many stitches.
Yeah, it should go pretty quick. And one more thing I'll say about this one is that we'll come to a point where we want to kind of go up at an angle, and don't be afraid to go at an angle when you're doing a satin stitch. You don't need to have them all going in the same direction.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, you can angle it. You want it to feel organic.
And fill the shape.
And that directionality kind of gives it that organic feeling.
How many stitches per petal are you thinking?
Just do whatever it takes to fill it. And it's going to depend on where you place the stitches. It's going to depend on the thickness that you're using. Yeah.
So I filled half of mine with 3, so I'm thinking maybe 6 works for me, but everyone's different. So.
Yeah, see, I filled half of mine with 5.
Okay, so your stitches are a lot tighter than mine. Yeah.
And I have no problem kind of layering mine or going over. I think that's perfectly fine for a satin fill, especially on something that's kind of an organic shape.
I hear a question over there, Anna.
Yeah, Anna is wondering what's the difference between the sulky paper and the quilter freeze paper?
So I'm making a mess.
That's okay.
I'm going to show you this really quickly before I answer your question. So I'm not happy with how this is looking. I got a little off for some reason. I'm just taking my thread snips and I'm just going to slide it right under and just snip away at what I did.
And start over.
And start over.
Yeah. So the freezer paper, go ahead. The freezer paper is
I've never used the freezer paper method because I don't work like that.
I can help answer because I do source some of these products. So they're both used for printing and transferring patterns onto fabric. But the quilter freezer paper, we usually use that on stuffed embroidery products like felt stuffed animals, because when you wash off the sulky, it does make the fabric a bit stiff.
It can.
The freezer paper does?
No,
the other.
It can make the fabric a little stiff. If it's feeling stiff after you've rinsed it, just rinse it more. That just means there's still some of that material kind of gripping to it.
Yeah, so the freezer paper has a wax-coated paper.
The freezer paper is also not soft. It's hard. It's stiff. This is soft.
Maybe I should do a little one so I don't go so slow. Look how fast you're going.
So I'm only doing 6 stitches per petal.
And it looks great.
And it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not super duper tight, but I think it looks really cute.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be seeing this from a little bit further away most of the time. And yeah. Sorry, I'm raging over you really quick.
That's all right. I'm super focused on my stitch here.
I'm just excited to be embroidering with you guys today.
Yeah. So I know when Krista uses the freezer paper, she doesn't necessarily use it to stitch through. She uses it to cut patterns more so than stitching through. And someone else might have a better answer, but because I'm not the one that's experienced in this, I don't know. Try both. But this is pretty fantastic because it's easy to stitch.
Yes, I'm fully in love with this product.
And it gives it a bit of a stabilizer too. So if your fabric is softer, it can give it a bit more.
The reason I love it is because I'm an illustrator and I love to draw. I love making my own designs. And it leaves me with no room for questioning what I'm doing. I can know what I want my pattern to look like. I know where I want my stitches to go. And then it just comes down to playing. If I'm doing freehand embroidery, it's just to playing with like the directions or the stitch style that I use. All right, I'm starting over. Now I'm well behind you.
So you're just doing a satin stitch on the inside too. Well, my petals don't look super crisp. They look a little more raggedy. So that's where you would want to have more thread.
More thread, yeah.
But they look fine. I mean, they're great.
It's not raggedy. It's ruffled.
Ruffled. Okay. All right. Let's see. We have about 5 minutes left. So are there any last minute questions on embroidery? And Hopefully everybody's finding the class link. Anna, you put that up there, I'm sure.
Yeah, so Alicia is wondering about the book to do all the stitches.
Which book?
Did you show something earlier?
Oh, for our workbook?
This part of
the
class?
workbook.
For our embroidery class, yes, we do have a full workbook that goes along with it, and it will illustrate all of the stitches. I learned how to embroider with a stitch sampler like the one that I designed, and the videos, I learn best by watching, so the videos I think are really helpful, but having the book to refer to can also be really useful.
I think having both, yeah. So the workshop does have the printable workbook, yes. And the template as well. So if you're not able to grab the fabric piece that's already been printed, the template will be there and you can print it onto the...
Yes, I would really highly recommend, if you have any interest in exploring your embroidery journey, I would highly recommend picking some of this up because it's so useful. And what you can do is print the template from the class directly onto this, cut it out, place it on your hoop, and it would be acting exactly the same as
on
if
your
you
fabric than your hoop.
Yes.
The one nice thing about this, though, I will say that, and this is a typical stitch sampler where the name of each stitch is right there beside the stitch, and then this is such a great reference to have hanging on your wall or someplace where you do your crafting. Then you can, if you ever like, oh wait, what did that stitch look like, and then you glance over and there it is.
Yeah.
So it's just a great tool.
We do have a follow-up question on the quilter freezer paper. Will the freezer paper stick to the fabric to stitch over? So the quilted freezer paper, it's really thick. It has a wax coating, so it would almost be like sewing through paper. I think people use it when with machine.
I would say it's more for machine. I probably personally would not use it for hand stitching. It is like a wax paper. It is a paper finish. So when we use it here in the studio, we iron it onto the felt and then use that as a template to cut out the felt, not necessarily for stitching. So if you feel like you might like it better, try it. I think it's an option, but I definitely see why this is really wonderful because it is softer and it's easier to sew through, but yet it still gives you the stability.
Right.
Yeah, well, you'll see Krista uses the freezer paper in the stuffy course when she makes the cat.
Yes, she does. Or she actually uses wax paper, and then it was after that we started stocking the freezer paper, but it's very, very similar. Yeah. The thing about the freezer paper is it's sized so you can print on it. No, I'm sorry. The quilter paper you can print on it. The freezer paper that comes in rolls you cannot. So
right. Yeah. I was going to say one more thing that you can do if you want to take the class, want to use the template, but you don't want to get this, is you could print it out and trace it over onto a fabric, and then you'll have the lines. You could write the names with like a pen, a fabric pen or something, and you would have the lines on your fabric, which I think is what I personally need when I'm stitching, is I want to have those like clear lines, and so I think that would be the best method.
Yeah, whatever works for you, and we want to make it easy so that you have options to wherever you're at, so you can get started. I mean, I think this is such a great method. What is it? About $1 a piece for these, and a few tools, and you have everything you need. It's a very inexpensive craft to experiment
and
with.
time consuming.
So it can be.
Really quickly, I'm just adding in some freehand leaves just around here because I think they would look nice. So just adding some little ones right here. Maybe I'll do a third coming out the center.
All right.
We're about done here.
As you're finishing that up, I'm going to have Anna do a drawing.
And hit us with any last minute questions you have.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I feel like we need a little drum roll.
Drum roll. There we go.
All right, congratulations to Anne from Griffith in Germany.
All right.
She is winning today's giveaway.
There we go, Anne.
Yay. So go ahead and shoot me an email at hello@leahgriffith.com to claim your prize.
And you'll send out the code.
Yes.
That will be great. All right, this is so much fun.
Yay.
Thank you for sharing all these fun little tips on how to get started with embroidery.
Yes.
And I can't wait to wear these in my garden.
Yes,
this
nice
summer.
and customized. Yeah, and I hope that this made it seem nice and easy and approachable for you to get started on your journey.
And do you have any instructions for the doggy bandana from the other day?
Oh, yeah.
We forgot to do that.
I forgot to do that.
The doggy bandana.
There is a video.
Yeah, their instructions are actually in the post. And then did you do a little TikTok video?
Yeah.
There is a TikTok video which is also in the post, and where Krista shows how she does that.
So she recorded herself embroidering that.
Yeah.
And it's honestly very similar stitches to what we did today. It's a lot of straight stitch. There's a couple of the lazy daisy stitches. So it's really repetitive to what we did today, just in a little bit of a different format.
Yeah. And on felt, which is a great thing to work on.
Yes, I
so.
love working on felt.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's our last day. We're going to be doing that gorgeous, what is it, the abalone pearl peony?
Yes.
With Megan, so she'll be back tomorrow, and we'll wrap up this week of our wonderful spring summit. All right, you're showing him the abalone peony over there with the Easter lily. All right, we will see everybody tomorrow, and thanks for being here today.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.